Well, good morning from me. Good evening to Evan, who is part of the Boid DAC. As some of you know, we've been shuffling up our episodes, bringing new people on. So we're here to dive into something new that Boid is doing. You guys have been, I'm lucky enough that I used to, get to help out with the Boid team here and there, and I've been quite excited about this. So you guys are actually going to be releasing a new NFT line, a new game, and we're kind of gonna dive into all the goodness. But first, and hats off to Boid because they've been doing some pretty amazing things in the uplift. And well, we just really need to play the intro for NFT Game Day because it wouldn't be Boid or this show without it.
I'm not the bubble. 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 I'm not the bubble.
So those of you that don't know what Boid is, you should do some research because that's one of the reasons that I'm where I am today. Because I always wanted to see blockchain do good in the world, and the app does some really amazing things with excess CPU, GPU, uses the token to pay out people who are dedicating these resources to basically helping to run complex algorithmic computations to help real world problems, things like cancer, or most recently do some research on helping out with the whole virus thing. So, but beyond that, they've been expanding throughout the space, doing a variety of things in the space, and the majority of this is run through a DAC system. So I'll even turn it over to you, Evan. What's important? What do people need to know? And what alpha are you going to drop on us here today?
So I mean, the big thing that Boid's got going right now, or has kind of put out into the wild, is they've created their avatar system. It's a NFT based system. It's really cool. They're packs. I'm sure a lot of people in Uplift go back to some of the older Boid NFTs that were out there. There was Boid Silver for people who'd been with Boid for, I think it was 2 or 3 years last year. There's some Einstein NFTs that were supposed to be power-ups, and there's some other stuff that people might be holding. I believe Friday we started airdropping packs to people that held these NFTs, and then those packs are live. People can open them. I think, yeah, like I say, Jimmy's got some right there. And with the 8 pieces, it's top, eyes, head, mouth, torso, big wings, little wings, and legs. You can create with your pack your own avatars, basically. And then once you've created these and minted these, there are ways that they can be put up on the site and other people can see them. And if they like them, they can buy them using Boid, which is kind of cool. Or if you're like me, you'll just mint one for yourself and you'll keep it unique.
Yeah, so there's a couple that I noticed. I think like there's an Aaron Cox one out there. There's a Yves LaRose one out there, and I was lucky enough to have them do the Jimmy one, which is pretty hilarious. This is kind of like my second NFT. The guys over at Crunks did one for me, which is called the Swingin' Jimmy D. But this one's really quite fascinating because my family looked at it. I have a 2-year-old. And she's like, you know, it says in Japanese, she's like, "What? That looks like daddy." And my missus, she laughed. She's like, you know, they've even got like the, you know, the shirt open the right amount there. You know, and I thought that was like pretty funny. So it's pretty bang on, and I'm really impressed.
I think
You know,
there's 6 of those left on the market before they're all gone. So if anybody out there wants the Jimmy NFT, it would be
right,
a good time to move. But no,
right.
I think it's a really great system. There's rarities, there's all kinds of fun stuff that as people dig into the system, they're going to find. And from what we've put out there is there should be no 2 avatars that can ever be the same. Once it's minted, you own it if you're the originator.
Yeah, I think it's really cool too. And like you said, that I played around with the builder a little bit. It's really nice because they've got some, you know, cool variations that you can come up with. And like I made one a while ago, and you know, mine was more like a kind of a Deadpoolish type, like with mask, and I didn't have like the facial features, but like you said, you can, you know, throw a lot of cool things in that. So now, like, why avatars, right? So and why a lot of these things that, you know, you guys are doing now, because like you said, there was this NFT line that came out, actually 2. There was the Tesla ones that went out,
Right.
and there was a really cool contract that was written for that back in the day, and I think those went out on Wax, if I'm not mistaken. And then the second line of NFTs that went out, they were based after Einstein, right? And this happened, I think, like a year or more ago. And there were some really cool NFTs if you happen to have your hands on them. But now they've kind of poured it into this avatar system. So, you know, why the move, and what kind of benefits is this going to have for the Boid ecosystem overall?
So I know you remember when we were creating the lore for Boid. That feels like years ago, but it was only maybe 2 years ago now. We were kind of toying about the people that were going to inhabit our Boid universe as we expand into other games and other things. And the idea really came up that we could create a system with basically infinite variety and have something that really represents the people. And then kind of having a trading card aspect with the parts, and it just kind of blossomed from there to where it's now. I don't even remember the number of parts. It was, I forget. I think it was like 500 or 600 total different parts with different rarities that we've done, and the system is extraordinarily modular. You know, if we get guest artists in the future or people within the community that you know, have the desire to create parts for future packs or promo packs or whatever, there's infinite ability for us to integrate stuff in and add more stuff. So it's kind of an advertising piece, and it's kind of part of our lore. I think the first one was EOS and the second one was Wax, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think I just realized that. I think I had that mixed up. So actually, the Tesla was on EOS, and the Einstein was on Wax.
Wax. Yep. And I think if you look on Atomic, I think there are some still floating around for sale. They won't help with this drop, but in the future, you know, we take snapshots, and you know, we reward the people that hold them. They also hold a certain amount of mining power if you're mining Boid. So
yeah, there's none on sale. Oh, so
wow.
That's quite interesting. So yeah, so how this works out then is if you were holding these in your wallet, then you got drop some packs, and with those packs, then you can open those packs, and you can, you know, build and put together your own avatar.
Yeah, I mean, and then from here we've got the Boid universe stuff. I know that we built. Was it a starship? I think it was a starship in Uplift Nation, and we had all that, and that was, oh my gosh, Jim, 2 years ago now, almost.
Right? Yeah, there's been a lot that's been going on actually, and yeah, so Uplift World, Boid was one of the first kind of bigger projects to come in and just like basically blow us away. I was actually still sitting on the DAC for Boid at that time, and you know. doing the stuff with Uplift World. And then like when we saw on our show, what Gary had accomplished with the, build in Boid, it just really knocked our socks off. And we're like, what is going on, right? And of course, Gary, he's helping us out now as well, still doing his own thing and still working with Boid, I believe. But like, it just, yeah, I mean, let's just have a look, because like it really does take your mind, out of this world. And kind of the mythology is in a way intertwined with, the build that actually happened in the Uplift world, which is quite interesting as well. Oh, that was the wrong one. See, I've got too many things open. There we go. So probably one of the, again, like premier plots, and we just like kind of plugged into a fraction of that here. And it's just really amazing, when that whole city went up and all of the little things that like seem to have now worked themselves into the mythology of it. Now, I guess like I'm a little bit out of the loop on this one, but so the idea is that it kind of takes the whole way that the Boid, seasons used to work, whereas there were these teams that were, kind of around various projects that would get together, and they kind of gamified this ability to be able to do the research, and they would give out prizes, in NFTs or tokens or whatever.
Well, some of them are real. Yes, I forget. Someone gave out what was it? A Kiss board game or something.
Yeah, that was us actually back in the day.
Okay, there we go. So
yeah,
it didn't just have to be NFTs and tokens. I remember those. Those were awesome.
Yeah, and so that was all good, but I guess the original idea behind the game was to kind of incorporate like some similar dynamics, right? Where you would have this kind of team that would go through and do these things. So maybe you can go into a little bit of how this works, because there might even be things that I'm not caught up on. And how will the game be utilized in the greater network of what Boid is doing as well?
So right now, I think the last, I guess beta-ish, private beta, I guess, not a little bit beyond an alpha, but not ready for public consumption. We've had a lot of people in there. I think we had 12 or 15 people running in the Boid games. It runs flawlessly compared to what I would have created, because I'm not the best programmer on earth. But I really got to give it to Seth and the programmers and the guys doing it. It's genuinely an interesting game. It's, I would say, a turn-based team tactics game like nothing I've played before. It's got a lot of unique kind of characteristics. There's the mothership. There's the little, I don't know what to call them, baby ships that go out and capture the spaces. And there's a lot of teamwork and communication that needs to happen between your group to be successful, which is great. Again, it comes back to kind of Boid. Boid technically is a math term for birds flocking, or a mathematical model for birds flocking. And so I think that it really kind of lends itself to what a Boid is the players are flocking together, the players are working together as a cohesive unit to achieve, in this case, domination on the map. We've talked about different ways to turn it into maybe seasons or ladder tournaments. There's been a lot of talk. We're still kind of ironing out the final details and goals of all that stuff. But it all plays into the larger universe that we are cultivating. And that the foundation of that still today is the Boid tokens themselves, which we generate by doing our public compute for. Right now, we're doing it for folding at home because World Community Grid, they migrated their stuff from their old stuff up to a data center in Canada, and they haven't brought everything quite back up online. We're hoping within the next week or two. But with that as well, we're also about to, or very shortly, should be releasing a brand new Boid desktop client. Brings a lot of the pieces that used to be outside of the client into the client, so it's a more streamlined experience. I don't know if Jimmy remembers when you used to have to go to the website to stake and unstake, and then you could go see your mining on the client, and it wasn't seamless, or it wasn't a I'm not gonna say it wasn't user friendly, but it wasn't the best interface.
I think the best way to sum that up would be to say that, like, there was a lot of things happening, but there wasn't very many active users. There were people that were doing it to help promote the goals because they believed in what Boid was doing, but there was a little bit of a lack of community, I think, and I think kind of there were situations where even teams weren't communicating, like after the team was set up, and then they would go through the whole gauntlet. And so I think what the game does really is it brings that kind of user base or people back into the framework of why we're doing this, right? And like, I like it because if we can gamify things that actually make a difference, as opposed to just gamifying things for profit, then that makes all the meaning for me, right? Like, I would much rather go and build an avatar, or help out with like some of this research and meet people that are doing the same thing in this early stage of where we are with blockchain. I mean, ideally, in 3 or 4 years down the road, people will be playing these games and not even realizing the impact that it's having for real world value, right? Like that's
Absolutely.
right. And
Yeah.
so that's really cool.
It is. And I think that I forget John's lists of first, but John, last time I talked, we did an interview with somebody. John had invented types of contracts that hadn't existed before. John is I think Jimmy can attest this. John's pretty much the smartest guy I know, and it just blows my mind the way John thinks about some of these contracts and the way things work.
Hey Jimmy, we're doing this NFT drop. Like, do you want to like write this up? And it's like, dude, I don't even understand what you're doing yet. Like, how am I supposed to write this up, right? No, but like, so the mechanisms behind the way that like the Tesla contracts work were really quite ingenious, right? Like the way that it was auctioned, right, and the way that people could participate, and there were a whole slew of different tokens that people could use in order to kind of like build up their PowerPoints and get those NFTs. And I I was part of the DAC at that time, and like I dove in headstrong. Like I went completely insane because like I wanted that number one. So speaking of numbers, let's pull this up. Like TC had a question. He wants to know, you know, where's the link for these avatars? So I think it's over on the EOS blockchain. And if you go over there, then this schema is the avatar Boid schema. And you can scroll down and you can see there's a bunch of them that are out there already. Like there's tons of little things that are done. And you can also, I don't know, find the...
It's avatar.boid.com. The designer is there. You don't have to own the NFTs for the body parts to experiment. If you find something you like, there's some ways to kind of save it, so you can, when you get the cards, build it quickly. And then I think it's under packs. There's also the ability, yeah, they are live right now. So right now, the common packs, the rare packs, all those are available to be purchased for Boid if you are holding.
Yeah, so it's really cool. Rarity distribution is the same among all common packs, but the price per card is lower for larger packs. Finding rare parts in common packs is not likely, which is pretty cool, right? Yeah, and so you've got like some of the well-known ones. There's the EOS Nation guys there. I like the Canadian Wings one is great, and Eve's Spirit is great. You know, you've got Aaron there, Zach, you know, Pieces. John's got his own avatar there, like almost evil scientist looking at like that a lot.
Corey's got his own. I mean, there's a lot of cool ones in here.
Yeah, there's some. Yeah, definitely. I like Seth's as well, but it's like hard to figure out. You know, like Corey's is here. That's a pretty good one as well. To just plug into this and see how, you know, the mythology and the game has, you know, kind of circled around to putting real people that we know in the ecosystem, and some that we don't. For example, Elvis Lives, right, like into this whole system. And the thing that I like about it as well is, like, you know, you can build your own avatar. Like, you don't have to be well known or famous. You can come in and you can pick up some of these parts, and you can, you know, put your own avatar together and out there, which is really cool, right? It's not just like another PFP project where you just happen to, you know, get what you get. You actually get these pieces, and you're able to go and put them together. So,
and remember, once you create it, no one else can create an avatar exactly like yours. Right. So you own that avatar, which is, I think, really cool. You know, for me, that was a big point that I wanted in the project. I didn't want it to be like just collecting and minting, and, you know, I think ownership is very important in the ecosystem, and I think the way that we implemented it, I think it's pretty revolutionary. I don't know of any other project that does it like this. I know that, you know, some of them will procedurally generate, and then you'll own it. But in this, you're able to put your personality and your own kind of quirks in there if you can find them.
Right, and there's a lot of different, like, potential parts here, right, as well.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it kind of, you know, pops it all up, which is really cool.
I forget the math at the end, but when I did the rough math on the first iteration when we were testing, I think there was over like 25 million different combinations.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty. And so again, like, you just come in here, you can log in, create your avatar template. If you need something, of course, you just, you know, click the link, and you can go over here, and there's no listings apparently, because, you know, you guys are just getting started, or you're like super popular and
they all sold out.
Away, right?
It's all your viewers, Jimmy. They bought them all.
Yeah, exactly, right. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's actually anything that's on. There's a few things here that are on the market, yeah. Right, so, yeah, like, you can go over here and you can pick up different parts and, you know, create your own. This is pretty cool this is some pretty cool hair or ears. I'm not really sure what that is. Ian Jeffries, nice. Yeah, and so this is a cool shirt too. Like you can totally get sucked into this. You know, I played around with the original builder where I didn't actually have to worry about what I could use because it wasn't things that were on the market, right?
Yeah.
And like now it's just like, oh man, this is dangerous, right? But yeah, built on EOS, and so you can go over there and check those things out and build your own avatar. Now, what's in the pipeline for?
I mean, I can share one that I don't think I'm supposed to share, but I'll share anyway. Is so we at Boid, I guess, at the DAC, or maybe it's just Seth. It might be Amnesty. Bought trees, and we're going to be working on a project where we turn those trees into NFTs, and we haven't quite solidified the mechanic yet, but those trees will become an NFT that is basically a living NFT, and its carbon capture will represent its mining weight within Boid. So as the tree grows and gets older, you know, it may only be, I don't know, 24 kilograms of carbon capture now. In 10 years, when it's, you know, 5,000 kilograms of carbon capture, it'll be worth that much more mining power within Boid. Again, I think the big thing with Boid is yes, there's mining, and yes, there's compute and stuff is going on, but Boid has always been dedicated to doing greater good or making sure that we're not just computing for compute's sake, that everything goes towards some sort of greater good that is helping enrich, you know, humanity, I guess, as a whole.
I mean, that's a really interesting concept. Like as a little bit of an aside, I lived in New Zealand in my tent for a while. When I was doing my permaculture design studies, and one of the things that I thought was really cool about New Zealand is the government actually pays farmers who have forests on their land. They give them a yearly stipend based on the number of trees that they have this year as opposed to last year. And so it actually pays you to keep the forest on your land because it generates income, right? As opposed to, you know, in North America, where you buy a piece of land, you cut it down and you sell it, and it's a one-time thing, right? Like, but it doesn't make any sense to not cut it down because you're not getting paid for it, right? And so I really like the concept that you just outlined because it kind of, you know, mimics that in a way, right? So you have this kind of, you know, NFT or asset that is mapped to, you know, real world trees. And as those trees exist, if I'm understanding you properly, the older that they become, the more valuable the mining power of that asset becomes, which
Yes,
is
absolutely.
really, if you plug that into the grand scheme of how the world works, that would be really brilliant if we could do that like globally across the world, right? Imagine,
Absolutely.
you know, if you had a one of one that was like a giant redwood, you know, West Coast Canada, how much mining power this would give you. And not only you're doing something good, but like, yeah, I don't know, like please plug it in so that like if the tree ever gets cut down, like your NFT that's mapped to it automatically self implodes and destructs and you lose all of that value, right? Like I'm sure it's not possible, but
we've had discussions about it, and I think that at least me and Seth, I don't know about John, have kind of decided if it's something natural and the tree burns down, we'll freeze it and it'll stay there. But if your tree gets sold to loggers and gets cut down, you may lose your mining power. We'll see. I mean, that's all up in the air. You know, I'd hate for someone to have an NFT that they gave to their daughter, you know, today, that, you know, 100 years from now or something, or 30 years from now, and suddenly it became worthless because, you know, the forest was strip mined. It seems a little harsh. I don't know. It'll we will figure it out. Again, John is an extraordinarily good programmer, and John's ability to make these grandiose concepts into reality on the blockchain and in contracts, just absolutely astounding.
So one of the things that I kind of want to touch base on is the sheer amount of things that you guys are doing.
Oh gosh,
there's
a lot.
there's a few projects, right? So not only are you working on the game, and now you've released these avatars, and obviously, you know, Boid.com and that app, you guys are also responsible for. Well, John is responsible for eospowering.io, which
Yes, he
gives
is.
free resources, which is a great resource. I mean, if you're having trouble interacting with the avatars on EOS, you can go to eospowering.io and you can find the link below, and you can claim some free CPU every single day to be able to let you operate on the network. You guys are also looking at DAC structures, helping to improve and build out, you know, I guess the, you know, pieces brought together DAClify in the early days of EOS, which was kind of, you know, a more comprehensive rendition of what EOS DAC was doing, in that it allowed groupings within that primary division of the DAC, so you could have different subgroupings. And there's a few projects that have been using it. I mean, Boid uses it for their protocols and things like that. So you guys are building that out. And there's quite a number of things that you guys are plugged into, and all of these communities. So my question is, because I want to help do this, you know, with the little bit of free bandwidth that I have, how can we get, you know, communities, all of these people, from all of these different projects that are all interested in it? It's becoming a little bit easier now with Pomelo because people are becoming aware of all the things that you guys are plugged into. But how can we get them to all come together and interact in one place? How can people find what you guys are doing? How can people get a kind of a grasp on who you are and all of the things that you're involved with? Where is the best place for them to go?
So on the Boid website, there's a link. We've got a Discord. We've been in Discord for, I think, 2 or 3 years, maybe 2 years now. We've been on Telegram. Telegram's a great place. John, Seth, anybody, lots of us, Dave, Gary, or Dave, and what's his face? Oh my gosh, I'm blanking. I'm sorry. We're in Telegram. We're constantly helping people. I just had someone ask me how to get the folding at home, you know, running on Kali. I had to load up Kali myself because I hadn't touched Kali in a couple of years. But we're a community in there. But I think that the best thing people can do is if they really feel like change and that whole kind of, you know, compute can be for the good of humanity or good of mankind, give us word of mouth. Tell, you know, your other blockchain friends, you know, maybe people that don't listen to you know, stuff like Jimmy puts out. Maybe they're doing other stuff. Maybe they're doing Wombat, or maybe they're doing other NFT games. Let them know that there's stuff like Boid out there, because I think as we spread and as we get bigger, I think there'll be momentum. And once we hit a tipping point, I think that it'll be one of those names or one of those kind of products that people that are doing blockchain know about because of what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and so I've been trying to talking to Seth and trying to convince him to you know, pick kind of a location. So if you guys all could go to boid.com if you're interested in anything that they're doing, and join their Discord, because I personally think that that's maybe where you could have the most impact from all of these people, right? And the way that could potentially be organized so that all of these people can come together. So the other thing that I kind of want to dive into as well a little bit is, I know that you can't talk about it because it's a secret.
I can talk about anything. Seth didn't tell me I couldn't talk about anything, so I can talk about anything I know about.
Okay, so what's interesting is, you know, around the time that like I left and got, you know, busy with other things, you guys actually brought in somebody who wrote a whole mythology around the Boid game, right? And like, he's been working on this for, you know, quite some time. I haven't read it. I haven't like seen it.
I read it. It's pretty good. It's right. It's not quite a thesis in thickness yet, but he's got actually. So he actually had a baby, or had babies. I forget if it was one baby or two. About a week before we were getting ready to finalize the stuff for the avatars, but we had planned to do a choose your own adventure with his story and bury NFTs and links to NFTs within the story, but we couldn't get it out there because he was busy being a parent. I'm sure a lot of viewers understand that once you have kids, a lot of these things gotta sit on the back burner for a while. But
Right.
it's coming. It just, new dad needs time to settle, and we can push it out there. But it's a really good read. I don't think. I mean, I remember the stuff Jimmy wrote. I don't think we threw away anything that Jimmy wrote. I think that we took the core of what Jimmy wrote and then we added to it, and then we moved the narrative forward.
Oh, that's exciting. I had no idea because like I thought like like kind of similar situation with me, right? Like I have a 2-year-old, like we just had another baby, and I'm hopefully in the middle of a international move because working on this side of the world is great, but it's really complicated when the majority of your team is North American based or even European based, because like that means like 3 a.m. Meetings in the morning to sit on DACs and things like that. It's just not workable and it's hard to keep up. But yeah, like that's kind of my thing. But my hope was always at some point in time, when things calm down, that I could come back and do more stuff with the Boid team. Because like you said, I think that they're doing real world good and some amazing things. And I just kind of want to plug into that. So I didn't have time to, get much more than the little bit of the conceptualized stuff that I wrote down. And I'm like really excited that like you actually kept any of it, to be honest, because like I heard that like the writer, he's like a professional writer, like he's done other science fiction things in the past, and so yeah, I'm super excited. Do we have a timeline on potentially when any of this stuff will be released? Because I want to read it, and I know, like you said, like you're kind of mid alpha beta in terms of that, and the avatar, I guess, is the first step to get people involved. But when can we expect maybe some of this to go live? And when it goes live, will it be tested with a small group of people, or will it be opened up to the public right away?
If you want to test, we are always looking for testers, and a lot of this stuff, our community are our testers, and they give us the best feedback. I actually started with Boid because I broke the Boid contracts several different ways for John, and I'd constantly be taking notes and snipping pieces of the transaction. Hey, John, this part of the contract broke because this and this. And then before I knew it, John was like, hey, I'm starting this thing. So our community, a lot of it seems to be built on testing. And those that are in our Discord, we've invited them to that kind of private beta of the stuff. I hate to give timelines because, as you know, with a lot of these projects, you can lose a developer, you can lose stuff and be all the way back to square one. Based on the progress we've been making, I'm going to hope before the end of summer that a lot of these things are, if not publicly out there, there's at least some sort of trial or demo or concept that those that are within the Discord or actively mining Boid are able to play with and at least see that the proof of concept works. I mean, not to bring my own project for Boid in there, but John sent me on some crazy errand to take AI and build procedurally generated art. So there's all kinds of things that we're working on that we've got in the pipeline. It's just getting the stuff that's ahead of it cleared and out of the pipeline so we can get the next thing to a point where it's staged and ready to go.
Yeah, well, and I think the amount of things that you guys are kind of working on and doing, like you say, as they progress, they will kind of naturally fit in together with one another. And I'm excited to see that, right? Like, because like you said, not to harp on your own project, but this will all kind of mesh with the things that are already happening, right?
Absolutely. And again, we take community help. If there's people out there that have, expertise in procedurally generated art using AI, we can use them. They can hop right in. They can take the work that's already been done, or start over. I'm not that great of a programmer. We already went over that. But we're always looking for help. I think one of the great things I love in this community is that everybody seems to be willing to help each other. I think John exemplifies that again with EOS Power Up. That's a community tool. I mean, I'll be places, or in Discords or on things, and people are like, "Oh, you don't have enough power. Go here, use this," and I'm like, "I know the guy that made that," and it always makes me feel great to know that things in our community, have a way of it's karma, have a way of making it back, and helping out other bits of the community. There we go.
I didn't even have time for I didn't even have space for my name on there, just because you guys are doing so many great things. But let's get one up from you too, Evan. What are you grateful for today?
Oh, today I'm grateful that I completed my master's this semester.
That's cool.
It was a lot of sacrifice. It was a lot of work. So, somehow I made the DAC work at the same time, and have kept on track.
That's awesome. All right. Well, into the Boid. This is our little. Well, this is a little pagoda that I built in the survival world, which, it's kind of my home base. And rather than head over to where I normally am, I figured I'd put it up here, which is kind of cool. I want to see, kind of how blockchain and crypto progresses and influences the world. It's been a little bit of a rough week in the crypto space, for anyone who's been paying attention.
Everybody, yeah. I just close the app and I don't look, and I wait for someone to say that it's rebounded at this point in time.
Yeah, like I actually, I think a lot of us took a little bit of a hit. Like for me, I'm kind of a little bit kind of okay with it, because you win some, you lose some, as long as you don't, lose more than you win. But one of the things that I want to point out is about the Boid team and the amount of capacity that they've been working towards change. And it's not the easiest thing, honestly, it's not the easiest thing, honestly, to do. But you guys have been quite lucky, because you've had the foresight to be, in multiple places at once. And sometimes it can get a little bit confusing for people. But right now, I mean, you're on the precipice of something really great. And so people can find you on EOS with these avatars. They can find you as well over on Telos. You guys are doing some really cool stuff over there. Is there anything else that you want to shout out to, where people can find you and how they can assist, other than, the website and things that are linked below?
I mean, I think our best forum right now is probably getting people into the Discord and following, the updates and notifications in there. And, again, we're growing. I think, we've got a lot of time left in what we're doing, and when we get there, we'll know it, or maybe we won't. But I think Boid is going to be a force for change and a force for good, just based on the projects that have already been done.
Right. And I'm looking forward to seeing like the new innovative ways that you guys can kind of throw the good of blockchain out there into the world. Like we kind of dropped a little bit of hints that maybe there's some stuff with, you know, trees coming, which is really cool. So, and again, you know, to reiterate what Evan said, if you're interested in helping out or building a project that really does have real world value or makes a difference and showcases the best of what blockchain can bring us, then, you know, don't hesitate to reach out to this team, because this is in a big way how I got my start with blockchain. Really, you know, comes back to just being involved being involved with all that you guys have to offer. And I think that that's just really something that people don't pay attention to. It's not always people in the space that are trying to make as much money as they can. A lot of times when you look at developers, especially in the eosio ecosystem, it's people in the space that are trying to use blockchain to better the world that we live in, right? It's not about not paying your taxes. It's not right. It's about utilizing this technology, right? And there's different ways to go about it. There's going to be different
Absolutely, yeah. There are going to be different ways and different stuff. I actually, at one of the blockchain conferences, I heard someone talking about how for third world countries, because medical transcripts and all those things are so hard to move around and aren't portable, that they were working on an encrypted blockchain that you'd have your private token on, and you could upload your medical records to it basically for free. And now your medical records are portable anywhere in the world because it's on a chain. Again, I think that we're as a society just scratching the surface of where and what blockchain can do for us and where it can take us. And I really think that, you know, with minds like John and you know, social groups that like the ones you bring to us, Jimmy, I really think that we can do good in the world. And I think that, you know, we can change you know, the world for the better in many ways.
Yeah, and I just needed to come over here because it was close, and you know, I'm building this thing, or like spearheading this thing with a bunch of people, you know, in the uplift. We've kind of noted it as the gratitude rail. We're taking everyone off, like, you know, the controlled rail network, and we're trying to link all of these plots together in just this giant series of plots that people actually own, because like there's plots out there in this server that people don't own. And one of the first things that I did was I needed to pick up a bunch of actual rail plots in order to link to the next person over during our liftoff sale. And the first thing that I did was I just came in here and I like took out all of the prefab rail and all of the resources, and like I used that for something else, but I also just planted a whole bunch of trees because that's what I do. So I was super excited about your little your little tree drop. So I just wanted to come over here and throw up a gratitude sign. You know,
I think it's going to be amazing once we get it going. And I'm hoping that even if we don't make it happen in a timely manner, timely fashion, that it gives someone out there a seed, an idea, and they can run with it. Because I really think that projects like that, you know, are helping someone, or helping, you know, communities. You know, there's someone that's gonna benefit from the tree that's being planted. You know, there's just all kinds of stuff. It's you know, I hate to use Reaganomics and the trickle down theory and all that stuff, but it really is. You know, you never know how many people one act of good or one act of kindness can affect.
Right. Yeah. We do live in this. We've realized, you know, with the recent pandemic, that we live in this world that's more connected than ever. And so, like, you can either detract from somebody else's life by, like, you know, taking from them and trying to build yourself up, which might not last, or you can put something out there that has value or benefit in the world, and essentially, you know, uplift those other people to do the same thing, right? We weren't all born the same. We weren't all given the same benefits. But, you know, there's people out there that are doing amazing things with nothing, and even the people who have the most in the West can learn from them, right? Like we hear stories about this all the time. You go to the second world or you go to the third world where these, economies are, starting to, blossom, in this new age that we've created, and you watch how well these people use the minimal technology that we all take for granted, right? Like most of the people in the West are using cell phones to take pictures and post food videos on Instagram, right? You go to like certain places in Africa or Southeast Asia, these guys are running whole, quote unquote empires in their small villages on these phones sitting outside, right? Like the ability for us to learn across the world, the ability for us to enhance, positive thinking in a way that also enables the advancement of science, the advancement of, environmental ethics. It's all there. And all we really have to do is plug into it. And we need projects like Boid to figure out a way to incentivize for us to do that. And that's kind of what you guys have been doing with this whole concept of the social computer, the scientific research, and now plugging that into a gamification mechanism so that you can engage people and keep them active and create this sense of community is really special. So I'm really looking forward to how you guys come out of the gates. You've been locked and loaded for quite some time, but it looks like all the pieces are starting to kind of fall together, and you guys are making moves. So definitely go check out what Boid's doing. You can check out, a lot of things on this site. I dropped a link below up in the comments earlier about the avatars, where you can find them. And yeah, definitely. Oh no. That wasn't good. Oh well, the stream's already over. So, but yeah, thanks Evan for joining us. And I was gonna put the I'm gonna put the Boid link in there now. That's what happens when you have too many screens open. But yeah, any last shout outs? Let it rip. And
thank you for having me, Jimmy. Hopefully next project I'll be here somehow. I am the official spokesperson for Boid now, I guess, because I get all the interviews. So look forward to working with you, talking to you in the future. And again, if you want to come back, talk to John, we can always use another brain in here to help us push things along.
Right. And yeah, like self-book yourself anytime. Keep us updated. Keep us in the loop. And we'll see you guys all next time. As for us here on the Uplifters channel, I'm going to go grab a coffee, and then we'll be back, I guess, in 5 minutes with another really interesting metaverse project over on the Wax blockchain called Realm NFT. So swing in and check us out. And thanks all for joining us, and we'll see you guys on the flip side.